Hi dreamers, well this is it, the video where I not only show you the December total, but the final total for 2023. What I made in dividends all last year, and how that has grown from 2002. And the most interesting part is that I've made no additional active income deposits in 2023. Only the additional income I've generated from options, and also the dividend reinvestments. So this is truly just a compounding and management effect. And at the end, I'll make a prediction about dividend stocks and how I'm thinking about it in 2024. Where do you think we're headed as dividend investors? So let's get to it. Today I'll review the end of the month totals where I show you my dividend and options income. And this month I made over $7,472. So let's go through it. Okay, so here we are in my spreadsheet, and I wanted to take you back to the beginning of the year, and here you can see January 2023 through March of 2023. And the total for Q1 for dividends was $21,821. And throughout the course of the year, you've seen me make rotations in and out of certain stocks to try to maximize both my total return and cash flow. And so you can see in quarter two, my total dividend income was $23,690, and my total in Q3 was $23,910. And here you can see my December final total was $7,472, making my total for the final quarter of 2023 at $24,237. So let's take a look at the stock detail in December before we review the total final numbers for 2023 across my dividend income, my options income, and even my interest income. And so here we are in the December spreadsheet, and you can see how the dividends came in across weeks 1 through 5, with the majority in week 3. And so getting into the detail, December started off with $260 from Truist, which I did a dedicated video about this year. And I'm predicting a great year next year as well, followed by PTY at $480. I got my first payout of Devo of $78.70, and then rounding up week 1 was $40 from Fortis, a Canadian utility. In week 2, I got $424 from Pfizer, just over $150 from JHG, and another payout from Fortis. I got almost $1,250 from JetQ, followed by 2 small dividends of just $15 from Southern Company and just under $2 from Lilly. I got just under $750 from IBM and just under $250 from SEHD, $1 from my 1 share of CVX, which I'm just monitoring for the oil prices, and just under $20 from UNH, a dividend growth stock that I've been adding to lately. I got just under $320 from the Yield Max funds, with the bulk of that coming from Coney. And if you follow me on X, you know that I've liquidated all of these Yield Max funds and put it all into Coney. So it should be interesting to watch that one over the course of the next few months. And the only other one I've held on to is Tesla, because I've lost significant money on Tesla, and I'm just keeping it as an experiment to watch how long it's going to take for me to recoup that loss. I got $161 from Prudential, $88 from Qualcomm, just over $100 from MetLife, and $23 from Microsoft. I got $198 from Gain, and $320 from Realty Income. ORI paid out about $65, and so did Stag, and rounding out the week, just about $9 from both Cintas and APLE. In week 4, I got $323 from Duke Energy, $65 from Maine, and $429 from MFC. I got $139 from BST and $190 from BDJ, a small dividend from PFG of $7, and then a relatively new position that I'm trying out, SPYI, with a payout of $170. And to finish off December, I got $42 from VNQ, which is a broad-based REIT ETF that I covered in my Realty Income video. Just about $97 from PSA, $225 from Avgo, which has been my best performing stock this year, $200 from QQQX, about $215 from these 2 payments of Devo, another $18 from Gain, just over $11 from PLD, a very small payout of $6 from QQQ, which I'm gonna try to build up to 100 shares so I can start to write options against it. And finally, $118 from SLF. And before we go to my cumulative chart for the entire year, let's take a look at my option income for the year. The first quarter I was really learning, and I made just over $8,000. And the second quarter I nearly doubled that with about $15,222. Then in the last 2 quarters I made $15,910 when I really pushed it in July. And in the final quarter I made $8,401. And part of this is twofold. One is I backed off of covered calls in the last part of the year because I could see a rally coming, and so I stopped doing those. And I also made a couple of mistakes in December, which cut down my options income to just $734. And I covered that detail in the last video with the year in review on options. But one thing I wanted to point out that I'm pretty proud of is that this is the first year that I did options, and I never had a month where I lost money. Even in December, where I made a few mistakes, I still came out ahead. And so in 2024, I'm going to be doing options with a lot more experience under my belt. And so that brings us to the cumulative passive income chart for the full year of 2023. And just to orient you, the blue bar is my dividends for 2021, and the orange bar is my dividends for 2022. And so in 2021, I made $51,680 in dividends. And in 2022, I made $75,057. And so my total dividend income for 2023 was $93,659, which, if you think about it, is a significant increase off of that $75,000 last year, considering there were no new investments from active income sources at all. But the big difference for this year compared to last year was my strategy to start adding in an income layer off of options, in addition to holding some cash, which also made about $1,000 in interest this year. And so my total cumulative passive income from investments alone of dividends plus interest plus options was $142,449. And so my forward predicted annual dividend income for next year, sitting right here, right now, with no additional reinvestments, is somewhere in the neighborhood of $96,000 to $97,000. And as you know, I have a couple of wild cards in my personal life, and so we'll see if I can get to that $100,000 in dividend income next year. But I'm also definitely going to be continuing the strategy of taking advantage of that double dip, which I talked about in a dedicated video, with interest and cash secured puts, in addition to doing some strategic covered calls, but also being very careful about the potential rise in dividend paying stocks. And let me tell you, if you had told me in 2021 that I would almost triple my investment income from $51,680 to $142,449 in just 2 years, I really would not have believed it. And it just shows you how if you get really focused and really creative, that you can make your portfolio perform in ways you never imagined, just by continuing to educate yourself and actively manage your assets. So, at the beginning, I mentioned a prediction, and I asked my ex-followers this question: will a lower interest rate economy make dividend stocks more or less attractive? And almost 300 people voted in this poll, with 78% saying more attractive. And my answer is, I think that's absolutely correct. Because in an environment of rising interest rates, investors often go to things like bonds over dividend stocks, which some think is a little more safe because it's a fixed interest rate. But what tends to happen in a lowering interest rate environment is the opposite, where investors come flocking back to dividend stocks. And in 2024, we're expecting at least 3 rate cuts. So my forecast for 2024 will be a rebound year for many types of dividend stocks. But just keep in mind, dividend stocks are not just one big group. There's obviously many different kinds and many sectors, as you've seen in my portfolio reviews. And so I'm predicting that the ones that have been down the most this year are likely to have the biggest comebacks. And those include things like utilities, consumer defense, financials, oil, and maybe pharma. While I'm also predicting that the tech stocks might be a little more sideways, since a lot of them have already rebounded quite a bit. So what does this mean for me? Well, I'll be staying the course with some minor rotations into dividend growth stocks and ETFs to continue to add diversification and growth. What are your predictions? I'd love to know in the comments. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this dividend income update. And if you want a richer, real-time experience with me, you can always follow me on Instagram or X. And if you're doing your own research using Seeking Alpha, feel free to find the link below to subscribe if you want, no pressure. As always, I encourage you to do your own research, then implement and learn by putting it into practice. And as a reminder, I'm not a financial advisor, so keep in mind these videos are for entertainment and inspiration only. I'll see you on the flip side.